Did he send you? And you know you're here. You have to help me escape before that monster comes back. I'm Scintilla. I found a way out through the Gate of Horn, but it's locked. So I told him about it, and instead of helping me escape, he locked me up. He wants to keep us all here forever, or until we're turned to gold. He's a monster. You have to let me go so we can kill him and take his key. Behind me, there's an aqueduct tunnel bringing water from outside the city, so it should lead us outside. The only problem is it's barred by a heavy locked gate, and he has the only key. I don't know. He said the gods are on his side because they don't want us to escape either. Sentius, my adoptive father. Furies help me. I'll castrate and crucify him. I'm going to take that key from around his neck. I'm done caring about the golden rule. I just want out. Help me, and we can escape together. There won't be enough time. Just you and me. What do you say? What? No. You can't just leave me here. How can you be so heartless? It's no use. You'll never persuade him of anything. I'm telling you, he's a monster. Please. You're making a mistake.
So you survived the cistern. Probably just a stroke of fortuna. Don't get cocky.
That's quite an impressive bow you have.
Citizen. citizen. We're finally alone. I assume you already know who I am. May I know your name? We have? Wait, I must have entrusted you with Is that about right? If so, what happened? Seems rather brash, but all right. Me? What are you talking about? You know, you remind me of him. Al Worth, the fellow who came through the portal before you. Come now, surely you didn't think you were the only one here who remembered everything. You see, my connection to the portal somehow preserves my memories from... But I'm surprised you hadn't noticed. Here I was thinking you were a little bit sharper than... He was a moralistic fellow, never once compromised on his principles. And because of that fatal flaw, he relived this day I watched him come through the portal each time, always a little up. And when he finally saw the futility of it all, as you're about to, it broke him. He drank a jug of wine, tied a noose around his neck, and took his own life. The next time I awoke, you showed up. But you've caught up to where he was so quickly. I mean, you've lived through the day. What? Less impressive? And yet everything you've done has been in vain. Because there's no escape. Except the path that Al took, the path he wrote about on his tablet. What was it? So you discovered my secret. So what? What are you going to... Why? Isn't it obvious? Because I have grown attached to all this. And as long as this day keeps repeating itself, I get to enjoy it all. Over and over again. For eternity. Don't you see? I have found a way to prolong my life indefinitely. To cheat death. I have become, in effect, as immortal as the gods. Can you honestly say you would not wish the same for yourself? And why would I agree to that? You might want to think that through. If anyone so much as touches me, everyone dies. The only way you're getting this key is over my dead body. And if I die, I won't be able to open the portal for you again, meaning you'll have created a paradox. You see, it was my actions that brought you to this point in time, so if you kill me, you'll stop me from doing so, and you being here will be an impossibility. That means if I die, you'll be flung back to your original time, having caused the deaths of everyone here, and you'll never be able to undo it. Is that what you want? You and your pathetic morality. Nobody cares about you. Understand that to me, you've never been anything more than a useful idiot, and you're no longer useful. I certainly hope not. In fact, I want it to go on and on forever until you wither and die like Al did. What are you going to do? Beg the gods for help? They don't care about you, and neither do I. Now, get out of my villa. I'm bored with you.
All
That's
weapons
quite
are
an
to be
impressive
tossed
bow
into
you
the
have
chasm.
there.
Magistrate's
To the new
orders.
face. Ave, and may Vesta watch over you. I'm Equitia. To what do I owe the pleasure of this visit? Well, I suppose we'd first need to figure out which god that is. And I'm afraid even I don't know. Although this might sound like a strange question, but please, humor me. How did you find your way here? Karen, you say? And nothing about that name seemed odd to you?
Don't believe a word they tell you.
You do? Well then, have you spoken with any of the others about how they arrived here too? I really think you should. Go around and ask them what they remember and see if you notice any patterns. I know. I just don't want to see what happened to Livia happen to you too. You have? Then what is it? Yes, I also had such an encounter. What else? Yes, I understand many of our friends were carried here by a river current. What else? That's true. I know I wasn't entirely sure how I wound up here. It's as I feared. I think I understand what poor Livia has been going through. You mentioned earlier you met a young woman in the forest named Karen, yes? I see. And was this Karen by any chance wearing a hood? Because I've seen her before. There's something I think you should see. I think you'd better follow me to the baths. But don't follow too closely. We can't have people thinking we're bathing together. All right, you're here. You were asking how I knew the young woman you met by the river was wearing a hood. Here, look down at the bottom of the baths. It's a little hard to make out in this light. If only we could see. Oh, what a marvelous lamp. But do you see it? Somebody waking up by a river in a forest to find a hooded figure with a coin. It's just as you described it, only your pronunciation is a little off. The name you heard wasn't Karen. It was C-H-A-R-O-N, as in Charon, the ferryman of the dead. Charon, who, in exchange for the right coin, helps the souls of the newly deceased cross the Styx, the river that separates the land of the living from the land of the dead.
When I dragged you out of the river, I thought you were never gonna wake up. I checked your pockets for ID, but all I found was some loose change. Feels like I've spent my whole life in a dead-end job with an endless commute. Sorry if I sounded cagey, it's just that I don't always get the best reactions when I introduce myself. My name's Karen.
There are a bunch of old stories about the gods punishing people by making them do the same futile task over and over. But on the bright side, at least you're not stuck in the underworld like they all were.
I'm so sorry, my friend. I'm so sorry. I take it you know what this means. I'm afraid so. It's all starting to make sense. All these people whose last memory was running from the fires toward the river. It seems none of them escaped with their lives after all. Perhaps we should be grateful they don't remember their final moments. It also tells us that the Golden Rule is the work of Pluto, the god of the underworld, and why his epithet has always been Father of Riches. I know it's a lot to take in, and you look as if you have questions, so I'll try to answer them if I can. That was my first thought too. In the old stories, the underworld was where but it was also possible for the living to reach it without dying, if they were particularly fearless. So I'm afraid Now that we know where we are, we have to figure out what to do about it, if we don't want to be cast into gold for eternity. We don't have much to go on, except the old stories. Hercules, the demigod and son of Jupiter. Orpheus, a Thracian poet. Sisyphus, a king of Ephyra. Hercules was able to leave the underworld because he cowed its god with his strength. Sisyphus and Orpheus both relied on their wits instead. They persuaded the goddess of the underworld, Proserpina, to help them escape. And finally, Aeneas was able to escape with the help of a spirit guide, who led him through a secret gate. So it seems you have two options: to confront the god of the underworld head-on, or find a way to escape with the help of Proserpina or some other guide. That option would be the boldest, but also the only way to learn the truth about the Golden Rule, and maybe even put an end to it. As I said, Hercules managed to overpower the god of the underworld, but he was a demigod. Forgive my candor, but you are no Hercules. Are you telling me that you can? I won't pretend to understand exactly what that means, but if that's true, so if you want to confront him, I'll help you. Who knows? Perhaps your name will be uttered in the same sentence as Hercules one day. But first, you'd need an audience with you-know-who, and for that, you'll need to enter the... The problem is, the door has been sealed shut for as long as I've lived here, and there doesn't even seem to be a keyhole. I suspect the answer lies in the desecrated obelisk in front of it. I'm not sure if you noticed, but there are 4 plaques missing from its base. It looks as though somebody, or a series of somebodies, forcibly removed them, and in doing so, dishonored and angered our divine keeper. If you could recover and replace all 4 of those missing plaques, I imagine he might be willing to receive an audience again. It's the towering stone monument with 4 sides and a pyramid-shaped head that stands before the great temple, a dedication to the god of this place. You'll find them all over Rome, but of course they were looted from Egypt many years ago. It seems one of them made its way here However, this one is unusual in that each of the 4 sides is decorated in a different style: Roman, Greek. That means you'll need to recover 4 different plaques: Roman, Greek, Egyptian, and a 4th, a mystery plaque. Good question. To answer that, we first need to ask who would have defaced the obelisk in the first place. It would have had the god's name engraved into it, so it may be that whoever desecrated it wanted that name to be forgotten. And there's only one group of people I know of who might want to do that. There's a cult in Rome that often argued there is only one true god. Theirs, of course. they've been known to start fires, as well as deface religious monuments whose existence challenged their beliefs. If I were you, I'd go looking for them. Of course, they've all been in hiding since the fire last year, so finding them won't be easy. But I did hear a rumor they have a secret shrine somewhere in the city. Perhaps, if you could find that, you might be able to recover. I don't know. But perhaps you should begin your search with the local Greek fellow. Perhaps Kabash, our Egyptian resident, would be able to tell us. But I did hear Aurelia is peddling rumors about him at the tavern, so I'm afraid you're on your own with that one. But perhaps finding the other three will illuminate the way. All Romans try to avoid saying it, and the reason is quite simple. He might hear us. You may refer to him as Pluto, if you wish, but you'll only be calling attention to yourself. Do so at your own peril. As I mentioned, both Orpheus and Sisyphus were said to have persuaded Proserpina to help. The problem is, those are the stories of a poet, a self-aggrandizing king, and a brawler about their first Proserpina. What we do know about her is, well, it's said, the god of the underworld abducted and dragged her here against her will. If the stories are true, then the problem is, how do we communicate with her? Leaving that aside for a moment, there is also the possibility of a spirit. Truly? And you're only bringing this up now? Then again, I suppose you were worried I'd think you were as mad as Navia. Can you tell me more? Is it the same voice? Fascinating. Perhaps she is a benevolent spirit. Or perhaps... Perhaps you're hearing the voice of Proserpina herself. If she has indeed been abducted, it would make sense. Tell me, has she told you anything that might lead you to the way out? Truly? Then why are you... Ah, I see. Then it seems you have made a great sacrifice for all of us, friend. I admire your compassion, but unfortunately, I'm afraid your only other option will be to confront you-know-who. All right. I would suggest not discussing this with anyone. The best we can do for them is to let them remain oblivious for as long as possible. As for Livia, it seems she's been shouldering the weight of this terrible secret all this time. Perhaps it would comfort her to know she's not alone. In any case, time is of the essence, so you'd best begin. May Fortuna guide you. Although you may not need her.
Salve, Dooley. How are you doing today?
Cerberus
Isn't
lifts
that
his
an
triple head
impressive trinket?
and lets out his threefold braying.
Livia, would you stop muttering like Medea over a cauldron? You'll scare away my customers.
They follow their trades, imitating their previous lives, but they are ignorant.
This again. You're in a world of your own, aren't you?
Ixion, just as the ocean accepts the rivers of all, but it does not notice the crowds that... Say it. Speak its name. Then it is true. I was right. I thought I saw it, but when the rest of them could not, I kept thinking I must have gone insane. I had to tell myself it was true over and over again, until I wasn't sure if I must apologize if my words seemed cryptic. I'd found comfort in reciting the metamorphoses by our great poet. He gives such an uncanny description of this place. I cannot help but wonder if he himself came here. Would you like to hear it? I understand. Such things are not for everyone. But I thank you nonetheless. And now we share a secret. It's as if you've lifted a great burden from my shoulders. Thank you, friend. I think I should rest.
beautiful. Ah, you're here. And, I hope I'm not being... You're not... How dare you? Get away from me, you pig.